Is it me, or does a Fox 32 without decals look like a pair of super skinny legs in a bikini? Hey folks, we're back again with another video, and although it's hard to tell just by looking at it, today we're going to be working on a 2020 Fox Factory Series Float 32 Stepcast fork with a FIT4 damper and remote. We're going to be doing a full service on this fork, full 50-hour lower, full air spring, full damper service. This is a very popular fork, and I'm pretty sure many of them out there have never been serviced. So we're going to go through everything step by step in order to make sure that you have everything you need to service your fork so it can be running in tip-top shape. So with that being said, let's go into the tools and parts needed for this job. As for tools, I'm going to break it out into two sections, 50-hour service tools and then the air spring and damper tools combined. No matter the tool, safety glasses, the most important tool on the table. Wear your safety glasses. The fork's got oil, it has pressure. So in order of use, first we're going to write down our settings, pencil, paper, or pen and paper. We're going to need a shock pump to take down our settings and to fill up the fork later. Then we're going to remove our rebound knob first, 2mm Allen for that. Then we're going to remove our nuts from the bottom. Both sides is going to be a 10mm socket, but you are going to need an extension unless you have a really long socket because it's a step cast and it is deep. Now, there's a tool to remove the shaft from the lower legs. This is an 8mm or an M8 thread. You could use a coupler or just go buy this tool aftermarket as opposed to Fox's. A lot cheaper aftermarket, and a mallet in order to tap them apart. Then we're going to separate the fork. You're going to need an oil pan for the oil to go into. Then we're going to use a pick to remove the foam rings. I'm going to use a tire lever tool over here with a thick plastic coating. You could use a wrench to remove the wipers. Then I'm going to go through my ritual for cleaning the inside of the lower legs, which includes a wooden dowel, rubber band, and paper towel. We're going to need a little container to soak our foam rings. Then when we put everything back together, we're going to need a wiper installation tool. Many options out there. You need a 32mm in this case, since this is a 32mm fork, and we will be needing a torque wrench. Alcohol will come in handy. Up next, the air spring and damper tools. For the air spring and damper, I sort of separated it, but there's universal tools between both sides. So let's go over everything. First, we're going to take the top cap off the air spring. 26mm flat socket preferred for that one, right? Then we're going to go to the bottom and take out the clip that holds in the air spring. A flat pick will help out big time with that. So then we're going to take our air spring, we're going to remove it. We're going to most likely clean the top tube first, so a dowel or wooden towel so we can clean the top stanchion, right? And then we're going to take our air spring and put it in a 10mm soft jaw hole in a vise. We're probably going to need heat in order to separate it using a 12mm wrench, adjustable wrench, Nipex, whatever you have, but a 12mm crow's foot to tighten it down, to torque it down, I should say. That's going to come in handy. Ultimately, we're going to need a bullet tool. I absolutely recommend using bullet tools to put in the bearing assembly into the air spring shaft so you don't tear up your quad ring that's inside. A little mini syringe so we can fill up the top and bottom of the air spring. We're going to need Loctite red and a torque wrench to, well, torque down the top cap. Oh yeah, you're going to need a pick for the O-rings as well. We're going to go to the damper side, I should say. Now, the damper side, first we're going to remove the remote 2.5mm Allen for that. Then we're going to need a 26mm flat socket again to remove the entire damper from the upper shaft, right? So then we're going to take our damper, we're going to put in a vise in a 17mm soft jaw hole. And we are going to, first what we're going to do, first what we're going to do is separate it using a 19mm wrench, Nipex, adjustable wrench, whatever you got. In order to remove the oil, you're going to need an oil pan to put the oil into, and we're going to need later a 19mm crow's foot to torque it all down. You could use a crow's foot to remove and install. I'd always prefer crow's feet over wrenches, right? If you don't have a wrench. So then we're going to take out a clip that's holding the bleed plug in, right? And that's very tricky. You're going to need two fine, strong picks to help you out, and I highly recommend using a magnet for that in order to not only catch the C-clip, but when you take out the plug, there is a bearing, a ball and spring in there that will spring out and you will lose them easily, so a magnet will catch those. So a magnet and two strong fine clips, we'll get into that later, right? So now we have an option. For a remote, you really don't have to work on the compression stack, and you will simplify this entire job even more, right? But if you do, What you're going to need is a tie wrap. Again, you're going to use this 26 millimeter over here. And what will come in handy to help you out is a needle nose plier, right? So then we're going to go to the rebound side. On the rebound side, you definitely want to work on that one. It's very easy. The seal head's the most important thing, right? And you're going to need a 8 millimeter bullet tool in order to put the new seal head in. Not worth tearing up the quad ring in the seal head, right? For the rebound knob, there's a 2 millimeter Allen or a 2 millimeter nut down there where we will remove again the detent ball and spring. Try and do it with a magnet so it catches it, right? Oh, and you're going to need an 8 millimeter soft jaw hole in order to get that one done. Blue Loctite for the screw that's holding the detent ball. Then we're going to put it all back together. You're going to need basically the mix miser. You can get these cheap online basically to bleed the whole system. We'll get into that. Paper towels, alcohol, again, wooden dowel to clean the top of the stanchion. And that's pretty much it for the tools. If I missed anything, I'm sure we will go over it during this job. Let's go on to the parts needed. As for parts, we're going to need seal kits. Now, this is a 32 fork. We need to make sure we get the 32 seal kits. So starting with the 50-hour lowers, we need part number 803-00-944, again, for 32 millimeter fork. For the air spring, same thing. We need the 32 millimeter, part number 803-00-962. For the damper, the FIT4, this is for the 32 and the 34. We need part number 803-01-323. For damper oil, originally it was 5-weight, but Fox has transitioned all 5-weight to 4-weight, so we're going to be using 4-weight within the damper. For the lowers, it's 20-weight gold for both sides. Since this is a FIT4, I'm going to be using SRAM butter. You could use Slicoleum, Slick Honey, your preference, whatever you want there. And that's pretty much it, folks. Let's get into servicing this fork. As always, before working on a fork, make sure to clean it best you can. Clean behind the arch over here, clean everything out of the steer tube. And since this is a step cast, try and go in the lower legs and clean as much as possible. We do not want dirt falling inside when we put this thing back together at the end, all right? So first, let's write down our settings. We're gonna start off with our air. Take off our cap. Take our shock pump, put it in, and we have, what do we have here? 73 PSI. So air is 73 plus, let's say 3. Let's leave that. And we are going to remove the air very slowly. There we go. Next, we want to write down our low speed compression settings. The only problem with this one is it's not working. It's jammed. So I need to figure that one out. But yours should click. Just count the clicks, turning all the way counterclockwise to the open position. Next, we're going to write down our rebound settings. We're going to take our rebound knob and turn it towards the fast, counterclockwise, and count the clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 clicks. We're going to grab a 2 millimeter Allen and remove our rebound knob next. Now, if we look down, this is very deep in there, but there is sort of like an opening on the shaft over here, right? And you can sort of see, just put your 2 millimeter in there and turn counterclockwise until, oops, there we go. Until that screw removes. Actually, a good amount of threads on that little screw. And I think he's out. There we go. Do not lose that screw, put them both on the side. Next, we have to take out our nuts. There's 10 millimeter nuts on each side, so we're gonna need a 10 millimeter socket, but a narrow socket, it will help greatly over here because this is a step cast and they do not give us a lot of room on the air side at all. A lot of times this will get jammed in there later when we try and put the 10 millimeter nut back in, right? So let's start with the damper side first. Make sure I'm not. There we go. That was pretty loose. Do the rest by hand, actually. It was really loose. All right. Oop. There's one. And then this one over here. There we go. Again, this one is a little finicky when we put it back in later because it is tight against the wall. Like, look at that. Even taking it off, I can feel the friction of the socket rubbing against the wall. Not exactly the greatest of plans in my or designs in my opinion, but it is what it is. There we go. Next, we want to separate the shafts from the lower legs. Fox makes a tool. You can buy them aftermarket. It's nothing more than an M8 bolt or an M8 threading. So you could get a coupler if you want, make your own. Find a hole, screw this about 3 full turns. 1, 2, 3, 3.5, and then tap it. There we go. You'll feel it come loose. Sometimes you'll hear air. And to give you an idea, they give us literally the diameter, room-wise, the diameter of this shaft over here, right? So try and find a socket as close to that as possible. Next, we're going to take our oil pan and we are going to separate the lower from the upper. Well, we got oil in there, so that's good. I'm going to let this drain for a bit and I will be back. We're going to work on the lower leg first. We're going to put this on the side, but before you put it on the side, a little tip over here on the damper side, take some paper towel and put it in, because when you put it down, there's oil on the inside of the whole thing and it will want to slowly creep out and it'll make an oily, pooly mess wherever you put it. As for the lower leg, first we're going to start off by removing the foam ring. Grab a small pick, be careful over here. Grab onto the foam ring and pull it out. That one's dirty. This one's, well, dirty. Then we're going to take out our wipers, right? Now, I have this Ice Tools tire lever tool. It's got a nice plastic coating. It helps protect the paint. When taking out a wiper, you could use a wrench. Just be careful you don't chip your paint over here. Now, I hate doing this on a table. It is always so much more difficult as opposed to doing it on the ground. The best thing you could do is put it on the ground right on top of you and it'll come out with the least amount of effort. But on a table up here with everything so high, it's always a pain. I can never get good leverage on it. There goes that one, wherever that one went. And let's do this one here. And there goes that one. When it comes to cleaning the lowers, I have my little ritual over here that includes a dowel, rubber band, and paper towels and alcohol, right? So the first thing I do, and in this case, since it's a step cast, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to reach in there. I'm going to grab a paper towel, put on my long finger, block the hole at the bottom, fill up, put a good generous amount of oil into the lower leg, or oil, generous amount of alcohol into the lower leg. We want to break up as much of that oil as possible, shake it around. I can't get deep in there, great. Right? Yep, most of it came out. Step casts are a pain in the butt sometimes. Let's see if I could do it this way. Nope, not deep enough. Let's try that again. Shake it around. All right, and spill it out on this side. Then what we're going to do, grab a little paper towel, clean any dirt from this area in here so it doesn't fall in later. Okay. Just like that. Now let's remove this little piece of paper towel that we use for our fingertips. All right, put that in there. Then what we're going to do is we are going to grab paper towel, leave about 1.5 inches at the top, loosely roll it, very loosely roll it, do not tightly roll it. Grab a rubber band, put it in the middle over here, so you pinched it, and then tear to make like a mop. And spray again on the inside, same leg. Turn counterclockwise. Let it sit at the bottom to absorb whatever it can first at the bottom, or as much as it can from the bottom. And then go up and down the ghost wall, so not only clean the walls, but to clean the edges of the bushings on both top and bottom. So just go around. Both ways, clockwise, counterclockwise. All right, not too bad. And we are going to repeat one more time. Again, leave about 1.5 inches from the top, loosely wrap it. Loosely wrap it, do not wrap it tight. Grab your rubber band, pinch it in the middle, tear it a little bit near the band, spray some alcohol, and again let it sit at the bottom. Go up and down. And that looks clean to me. Then what we're going to do is repeat the same process on the other side. I'm not going to show it. I'll be back when I'm done. The lower legs are clean. Now we're going to inspect our bushings. There's 2 sets, one set up here, another set around there, right? Point it towards the light and use the light reflection on the edges to see the bushings, right? To see the condition. You're looking for deep gouges, a lot of excessive wear, scratches, lots of scratches. This is clean. The bottom one on the left is clean. Bottom of the right is, yeah, that's pretty clean too. There's some rubbing, but that's normal. And let's inspect the top ones. That one looks clean. And that one looks, yeah, they're really clean. Cool, our bushings are good. Let's put this on the side for now. Next, let's prep our foam rings. Grab your foam ring out of your 50-hour kit. Put them in a little container. And we're going to take some 20 weight oil. Let's put some in there. We're going to use that oil later for the lowers anyway to fill them up. So don't be afraid to put more than what the foam rings need. Grab the foam rings, dunk them in there, squish them down a little bit. All right, let them soak in. And that's it. Now what we're going to do is cover it so we don't spill it by mistake. And that is it for part 1 of our 50-hour service. Next, we are going to work on the air spring. For the air spring, the first thing we're going to do, 26mm socket to take out our top cap, right? Now this can be a little bit stiff. This is in there with some good torque. So make sure you get good leverage. There we go. There's a hair stuck on the grease here. And there is our cap with one little token in it. Put it on the side for now. Next, we need to remove a clip in order to remove the air spring itself, right? Now, if you look at this clip, it's flat on one side and lifted on the other one. So what we need to do is get underneath the lifted side with a flat pick and just pick it up. Be careful over here. Just like that. Walk it out. Watch you don't hit your shaft. Come on. There we go. And it popped out. Now we can remove our, hey, look at this little air spring. That's our whole air spring. Before we work on the air spring, let's clean the inner tube. First, we're going to grab a paper towel and clean the seat for that little clip. Make sure we don't drag in any dirt. Then what we're going to do, oops, spray alcohol in the tube. Grab a paper towel, bunch it up into a nice ball. Nice thick ball. Yeah. Grab your wooden dowel, push it out the other side. Oh yeah, that cleaned it. Now, while this pointed downwards, clean the threads on this side and try and get any dirt from the top over here out. Make sure you clean it downwards this way so it could fall out and not in, because it is very important that there are no scratches on the inside of this part of this particular stanchion. The other side doesn't bother us, but this side we want to make sure. We're going to inspect it now. There are no scratches. This thing is clean inside. Cool. To work on the air spring, we're going to need a 10mm soft jaw hole. But before we put it in there, what we need to do is remove the seal on the base nut, because chances are we're going to need heat to remove the base nut from the shaft? Chances are. So we'll grab a pick, go underneath there, put him on the side. We're going to need to replace him, all right? So next what we're going to do is grab a little bit of alcohol, clean the shaft real well. Now, when we put the shaft into the soft jaw, do not put it close to the base nut. There are threads over here. We want to be at least 1.5 inches down from this base nut over here, right? So let's put this in here like that. Move this guy a little bit further out because he's sort of touching. There we go, just like that. First, let me try it without heat. Whole thing's moving. Make it a little bit tighter and try it without heat. Nope. Just grab heat. There. There we go. Just make this a little bit tighter. And there we go. You got Loctite red in here. Sometimes they put a lot of Loctite red. This one's not too bad actually. But I've taken some of these out where all the way to the last thread, it's a struggle. Again, 12 millimeter wrench. Forgot to mention that, sorry about that. And that is our base nut. So we remove the base nut. Let's take this guy. Next, bumper, spacer, and that is the whole assembly. So you can see over here, I opened up the seal kit. I ordered these seals by size, okay? That really helps out, folks. So first, let's start off with the base nut. Let's take out the inner seal. Put it on the side. Now we have a whole bunch of Loctite red over here. Let's try and clean as much of that off as possible. That's actually looking really good. Now we also want to clean the inside in here. Let's grab. Man, barely see. There was barely any Loctite in this thing, which is okay. Sometimes they overdo it, way overdo it. Let's go in here. Turn the towel counterclockwise, or this thing, the shaft clockwise, to sort of force anything in the threads to come out. Wow, that's looking really clean in there. Let's find its replacement seal. This is the new one. This has to match that one, out with the old, in with the new. And then this one over here has to match this one, out with the old, in with the new. All right, so what we're going to do first, grab a little bit of grease. The thicker one goes on the fine threads on the inside. All right. The thinner one, more than enough grease in my fingers, goes on the fatter threads on the outside. Now at the base, make sure you hop over and get it into the seat in here. Boom. Clean any grease off of it. This one is done. Now over here, we have this one on the outside, and inside we have a quad ring and a U-cup or a skirt seal, whatever you want to call it. I might have to get my other, yep. Oop, I got it. Cool. So this is our quad ring, put it there. Then we need to access our skirt seal. It's going to be a little bit trickier. This one I'm definitely going to need the other pick. This pick's not going to be good enough. Or will it? Could I get underneath it like this? Yep, I got it. There we go. And push it down. And there we go. Now, again, skirt seals are directional. If I pull it out, if you notice, the top part's flat, the skirt's facing, well, technically, yeah. The skirts should be facing down. It faces where the oil tries to come in, right? So let's clean this guy real good. side. Make sure our bushing here is in good shape. And it's a bushing. Cannot have scratches on that. And that is in good shape. Let's try and clean any oil out of the bottom in here. Or grease, I should say. Or oil, really. Cool. Now, that has to be this one here, so out with the old, in with the new, and well, that's these two guys here. Those are the new ones, and this is the old ones. So first, let's start off with our quad ring. Now what I like doing is filling up the seat on the inside with grease. So you cut this, our quad ring. So the quad ring goes on top. The skirt seal or U-cup goes on the bottom over here, right? So what we're going to do, since this one's the trickier one, push them in, hold them at the bottom so he doesn't pop all the way out. Try and sink one side into the seat first. I need to get mother seal, mother pick. And then, now here's where it's going to get tricky because he sunk into the seat for the skirt seal. Now, what we're going to do is force him beyond that. Come on. There you go. Ooh, nearly had him. Careful here. And it is in now. This is a quad ring. We need to be 1,000,000% sure that it's not twisted. So take a good look at him. It is not twisted. Cool. Sweet. Now we have our skirt seal. Again, our skirt seal is directional. Put grease on the skirt seal. This one's a lot stiffer, right? So remember, the skirt needs to face this way. Okay, the flat part needs to face the top over here. So what we're going to do is try and sink it in. It's real deep, so it's a little bit tricky. There we go. Ooh, I sunk them in good. Sink them in and then try and put them in with your thumb. Ooh, so close. Nope, you popped up on top. Now this, I'm sure I'm going to need my other pick. It's way too stiff for this pick. Let me go get my other pick. All right. Let's try a plastic one. I have these grooves that I made. That helps out in situations like this. Ooh, I had it and it popped out. Not completely popped out, but now we have it. All right. We're in. Let's test it. We should be able to feel the skirt seal. Yep, all the way around. Make sure it's all even, and we are good. Next, let's put some grease all over the seat in here, inside, fill it up. And then done. You don't have to worry about this. Give it a little clean the old grease if you want. Same goes with spacer. We have one more quad ring over here. Easy enough to get to. Yeah. Pop them out. Clean the seat. Placement right there. Out with the old, in with the new. Grab grease, fill in the seat. Now again, we need to make 100% sure that this doesn't twist on us. This one tends to twist relatively easy. And we are good. Put some grease on the shaft. First we take our spacer, our bumper, down. Now, you have an option over here. You could try and do this without a bullet tool, but that quad ring has sharp edges and this is a sharp edge. You take the risk of damaging the edge of the quad ring, right? So we grab our bullet tool, grease on it, and this makes it much, much safer. Done. Put the vise back on the table. Now we want to clean our shaft again. Some alcohol on it, get all the grease off before we put in this soft jaw. Again, leave at least 1.5 inches, right? Don't get close to the top. Okay, now find threads, clean them, make sure we have no grease on there. Loctite red. Put a drop on the threads in here, or if you want, you could just put it at the tip over here. Just like that, be careful. Get all the way around, sink it in the threads real well. Ooh, that's a lot. That tip sometimes. It's a lot. Then be careful we don't get on the sides. Screw them by hand, always by hand. Can you see that? Yes. Okay, all the way down to the base. As far down as you could go. Use your 12mm wrench. Once you can't do it by finger anymore. Okay, and then when it stops, torque wrench, 12mm crowfoot, 5.7 Newton meters. Make sure it's not spinning. Spinning. There we go. Let's try that one more time. 5.7. Yep, we're good. Air spring done. Let's change one more seal while we're at it. We have the seal on our cap right over here. Okay, move it. Find its replacement. It's definitely this one over here. Yep, old and with the new. I have more than enough grease in my fingers. Actually, let's not take a chance. Put some grease on it. Let's clean the seat. Make sure there's no dirt in it. Which you can do also if you want. You could take off the token. Clean the threads, clean the seat real well. Could you see? Some in the frame. Okay. Now with this thing greased, we can put it back into its seat. Right here. Oops. Come on. Hop. Come on. Hop over. Oh boy. There we go. And it's sitting in its seat. Put our token back in. That is done. To assemble the air spring, try and find a syringe that goes up to 5mm or 3mm basically. We're going to need a little bit of oil both on the bottom and on the top over here, right? So we'll get into that in a bit. So the first thing we're going to do is grab a little bit of grease. Coat the inside of the tube. Okay. Then what we're going to do is grab our syringe and I'm going to bring it up to 4 milliliters of oil. And that thing just completely came off on me. Oh well, that's not good. Come on, get in there. There we go. Now, do that again. 4 milliliters. 3 and 4. Perfect. All right. Leave that on the side. So I'm going to grab our air spring. I'm going to put some grease around the quad ring, just like that. Put some on top. All right. Put some on the shaft up here. Now we're going to create a moat. Small moat on the inside over here. The reason for the mold is to trap oil in there. And then we're going to put a good amount of grease on the outside of here. All right. And just like that. Cool. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take a milliliter of oil and put it in the moat. All right. Then we're going to pick this up to the top. Hold it all in place on top. Put it in until it snaps out. Until you get to a point, don't sink this part in until, there, I think I am actually, until this seat comes out for the clip on the bottom, all right? So now, since we're there, let's push this, move this on the side before we spill it. Put this on the side before we spill it. Let's grab our clip. In fact, clean some of that excess grease over here so it doesn't get in my way. I don't think I'm down enough. I think I need to go down just a little bit more. We'll find out in a second. Grab our clip with the flat side first. Yep, I need to go down just a little bit more. Right, the problem is this is a step cast. This is a deep one. So, or deep bearing assembly over here. I'm not all the way in, so grab a pick. Try and sink that down. There we go. That little bit just did it. Now let's sink in. I am. See if I can spin it around. Yep. I am in. Before we close it up, we're going to put the remaining 3 milliliters of oil in here. Grab our cap. Screwed in by hand. Always by hand first. Grab our 24 millimeter. Try and bring it straight to the base. Ooh, I'm already there by hand. Grab our torque wrench. 24 Newton meters. All right. We're straight. And there we go. Oop, 25.9, little hot. To finish it up, we're going to put about 20 to 25 psi of air into the air side. Then we're going to remove our shock pump, and our air spring is done. Now we move on to the damper service. For the damper, first we're going to remove the screw to take off the remote. So 2.5 millimeter Allen. Do not lose the screw. Do not lose that cap. Like I said, do not lose that screw. Do not lose that cap. Come on. There. Okay, so we can pull off the whole remote. There we go. Next, we're going to grab our 26 millimeter Allen, socket again, and remove the cap, or remove the damper body. So, it's going to be hard again. And the cartridge should come out as a whole. Oh, see what I mean? How much oil collects on this thing? This would have been on your floor, would have been wherever you left it. So let's put that on the side. Since we're here, let's clean any oil from the outside so it doesn't get all over us. To clean the upper tube, same as before. Spray some alcohol in there. Bunch up paper towel or rag to a ball. Put it in there, grab your towel, poke it all the way through. Then again on this side, make sure the threads are pointing down. And clean any dirt that might be on top of the threads or on the threads. All right, this one, we don't have to worry about it. This side doesn't need to have, it doesn't matter if it has scratches because that's a sealed cartridge. And we're going to take this, put it on the side. Next, we're going to remove the seal head from the main body. To do that, we need a 17 millimeter soft jaw hole and a 19 millimeter wrench. The wrench will grab onto these teeth over here, right? So, screw this guy into the soft jaw. Don't over tighten them, you don't need to go too crazy on them. 19 millimeter. Make sure the whole thing's not turning. And there we go. Spin it. Well, would be helpful if I actually grabbed onto the teeth. And I should be able to do the rest by hand. And we are going to lift. Some oil will come out. All right, let's put our rebound on the side for now. Remove. And empty out the oil. And oil. Ooh, man, that is nasty. I have a feeling this has never been changed. Yep, so squeeze down, try and get all the oil out from the inside. It's supposed to be translucent, relatively clear with 5 weight. All right, I'm gonna let this drain and I will be back until I'm done. As always, folks, when it comes to disposing oil, do so appropriately. Don't throw it down the sink, don't put it in the garbage, don't put it outside, don't put it down a drain, don't throw it, pour it in the toilet. Give it to a local bike, put it in a jar that says, don't drink, dangerous. Give it to a local bike shop, give it to an auto shop. They will know what to do with it, all right? From my perspective, we have an option over here. If you regularly maintain your damper, you really don't need to go into this thing for the most part. There is barely anything in here that needs to be dealt with. If you don't have any issues with your bladder and you don't have any issues with leaks on top, you're good to go, and you can really simplify this process. Not that this is difficult, but you can make it a lot simpler and only change the seal head and a couple of seals in here, right? Now we're gonna do a full service video. I'm gonna show you guys how to do this entire thing, but in my opinion, this is optional, all right? Especially if you keep on top of it. Like this one, obviously the oil hadn't gotten changed in a very, very long time. So I'm gonna go in there and clean everything out, take everything apart, clean everything thoroughly, and then put it all back together. Before we move forward, let's put a little paper towel in here because oil is gonna wanna come out, drip out, so we don't make a mess, right? Just put it in there, we'll get that later. Now, first thing we're gonna do is take off the bleed cap over here, or at least the bleed screw, right? Or bleed plug. So let's put this back into our soft jaw hole. What we're gonna need here is 2 sharp fine picks. Now on the sides over here, there's 2 holes. One's there and one is right here, right? And if we put a small fine pick in there and we force it in, you'll see that it will move a C-clip. Now, before we do that, what we wanna do is make sure we are in the fully closed position, right? So screw the high-speed compression clockwise. So it sinks all the way down and gives us the most room, okay? So again, if I put this pick in this hole over here, you'll see that I'm moving, not lifting, a C-clip in there. This is a pain in the butt, folks, right? Be very careful over here. So, am I on top of it or below it now? Hold on. There we go. So, that C-clip just lifted. See the way it lifted over there? Now what I could do is, now I highly recommend doing this with a magnet, okay? So, because that C-clip, it'll fly and you don't have a replacement. So basically what we do now is we try and go underneath it with another pick and there we go. We got it, boom. That's why we use a magnet. Grab a little plier, grab the edges, and this thing will come up. Oops, oh, I got lucky. I totally forgot about that. There is a spring and a detent ball. The spring popped out here and the detent ball hit my hand and it is right here. Oh my God, did I get lucky. It is literally, there it is. There we go. Okay, I totally forgot to mention it. So when we pull this out, again, we want to do it with the magnet. Okay, there is a spring and a detent ball. We do not want to lose that spring or that detent ball. Those are our clicks. Now take all 3 of them with the magnet, just like that, put them on the side. Next, we want to separate this collar. To do that, we need to mount the compression stack onto a flat jaw. You're just going to use the flat spots over here where the socket goes into, right? And let me make sure I angle this in a way where you guys can see it. So I'm going to connect like that. Now, if you look on top over here, we have a retaining ring, right? There's a flat side and an angled side. We want to go underneath the angled side just like that and lift it up, walk it out. There we go. Now this will come out. Let's leave that on the side. We'll take care of the rest later. Actually, we can push this down. There we go. Next, we're going to separate the compression stack. Right now, this place has 2 points of separation. it'll separate from here to here, from here to here, and we have no control as far as which way it'll separate, all right? We'll find out when we unscrew everything. We're gonna need our 17 millimeter soft jaw hole. Just make sure you clean your shaft of all oil. Sink it down, tighten it. Okay. Now, use our 26 millimeter socket. Tighten a little bit more. There we go. Now the question is, where did it separate from? Now, your best bet is to make sure, hold it like this. Actually, no, my bad. Hold it like this, upside down, okay, when you separate it, because we have shims over here. It could separate between here and or here, okay? So, and also down here, you'll see what I mean. Well, actually, this is all one piece. So it'll separate either from here or from here, either above the shims or without the shims intact. So let's unscrew this and we will find out from where it's separated. There you go. And there's our shims. And that's why I say hold it down like this, because if you hold the other way, the shims will fall out. And then you're gonna have to know which shim stack order you have, right? Now, we're gonna take this for now. We're gonna put it on the side. Let's work on this piece first with the bladder. So first, let's remove the bladder. All we need to do is push this down from its seat, just like this. Just pop it out of its seat. It's hard to do everything in camera. Come on. There we go. Oh, thought I had it, but I didn't. Come on, man. Come on. Why don't you take it? There we go. Right. So now, bring this collar down a little bit and the whole thing will come off. Let's just leave that there like this, okay? Now, underneath here, there's a seal. Should be a seal at least, right? But we need to separate it. To do that, this might be a little tricky, doing it by hand. Make sure our hands are clean of alcohol. You might have to put it back in there, actually, to make life even easier. In fact, we are going to put it in here to make it easier. This, what is that? Is this 6 millimeter? Yes, 6 millimeter socket. Okay. Make sure we're tight. There we go. All right. So there's a shim under here. Be careful. Those are really easy setup, right? This is just a single shim. So let's put this guy here. We'll put our shim in here. Then we have a spring. Then we have another shim. Does this one have? I don't remember. Oh, you know what? Nope, this version doesn't have a seal. Some of them have seals, some of them don't. But nonetheless, again, let me make double sure that we don't have a seal over here. Nope, we don't have a seal. Okay, one less thing. Still, what I want to do is clean this thing real well. Get all that old residue oil out of here. So we can put the 4-weight in. All right. Put this guy in here. This should work. Should be more than enough. And there we go. All right. And we are good. So that's clean. Let's clean our, actually, yeah, this is an easy one. We don't have to worry about changing any seals on this one. Let's put this back in here again. So if you look on top, we do have a C-clip in there holding everything down, but we don't have to worry about a seal. So we put this here. Now this is a cone wrench, a cone spring. The wide part goes down, right? So let's clean our spring. Wide part goes down. Grab our next shim. And over here we don't have any O-rings. Do this by hand. We are going to torque it all down one shot later. So just do it by hand. And this part is done. Now, if you notice over here, I opened up the seal kit for the damper, right? So first let's start off with the bladder. So let's take off our collar over here. All right, probably should take it off the other way. So the flared part points down, right? It points to the narrow part. So let's put this one on the side and let's put this one in just like that. Yeah. Why are you giving me a hard time? Get in there. Done. All right, so that is done. So when it comes to the compression stack, this is optional in my opinion, though there is a U-cup in it. You can inspect the shims, clean all old oil in there to put new oil, or fix something that's broken, like the low speed compression knob is not working in this thing, and I'm pretty sure I know why. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get a tie wrap. We're gonna pull out the shim stack for now, just go underneath it and scoop it all out one shot. Now what I would do is bend a small part. This is the downside, the side that faces the compression piston, right? So let me just leave this here. We'll separate it and look at it later, right? So next we want to take out the compression piston. Now the serial number says this is a push to unlock, but I noticed that the remote is a push to lock. So let's see if they changed a cap, because this is a 2020. So they did not change the cap. This is a push to unlock butterfly valve. Now, that's something that we need to know, that for the 2020, there's 3 different valves: a push to lock, a push to unlock, and a 3-position valve. The remote on top, the remote cap on top where the cable connects to, needs to match, for the 2020, needs to match the butterfly valve. So somebody on this fork over here basically changed the remote on the top cap where the cable connects to, but did not change the whole cap, the whole mechanism over here, and you have the push to unlock butterfly. So we're going to put this here for now. Okay, now let's pop this whole section out. This is our high-speed compression knob. This is our low-speed compression dial that is not turning. There's a wave washer in here. Let me see if I could force this to turn, because to me it seems like it's in a fully locked position right now. Let me get this off of here. Let me grab the knob. Oops, I need what I'm gonna need is, where are you? Oh, there it is. I need the bleed cap. Put that in there. Now we can put our dial and see if I could, oh, that's jammed in there good. Let me see if I can. Hold on one second, I'll be back. Okay. I got me a pair of pliers over here. I bet you whoever, there we go. All right, yep. We got our low speed compression working now. Let me take off this cap here. See, now it's working. In fact, I could take the whole thing out. We don't want to take it out. So don't put too much force on any of your dials, whether it's a Fox, shock, or fork, because you will jam these things. This thing was jammed in a fully locked position from what it looks like, but now we unjammed it and it'll work when we put it all back in. As I mentioned, we have one U-cup or skirt seal inside the cap, and it's a bit tricky. Actually, it could be challenging trying to get it out and to put it back in especially, all right? So the U-cup is basically inside here, right? Right in the middle. You can't really see it all that well. You can only see the edges of it. So what we're gonna need is an angled pick. So from the top side over here, we're gonna wanna go on top. Hopefully you can see that well. And essentially grab it from the top and then scoop it out just like that. And you should, I just had it. Yeah. All right. And basically just pull it out. So that is our skirt seal. So the skirt part faces down like that. The flat part faces the top of the cap, right? So let's take this, let's grab the new one. There's only one in the kit. Let's put some grease on it. All right. Now, the tricky part, putting it in. It's a lot harder to reach on this side, so we want to try and stuff it from this side. So the first thing we're going to do, and I have a plastic pick. I highly recommend buying one and cutting it down the middle for situations like this, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to sink it halfway first. And then we have to find from the bottom side, find where the skirt is and try and tuck it in to the side while holding it on the back over here so it doesn't bounce out, because this is pretty stiff. Just make sure, see, it bounced out. Like I said, this is tricky. So let's go, right? So let's hold that down. Let's bring this in, and it just popped into its spot over here. Now we want to grab it with our thumb, hold the back all the way, block the hole so it doesn't bounce out. And we want to grab it with our thumbnail and basically try and squeeze it in so it pops in there. So, oop, nearly there. Let's give it a little bit of assistance. Just pop in there. And this one. There we go. And that should be this thing in good. Or is it twisted? We have to make sure we're not twisted. And honestly, if I didn't know better, I'd say there is a part that is twisted. And I'm positive that this part here is twisted. Oh, there it goes. Now it popped in. To test it, we should be able to feel the skirt from underneath using the pick, right? So get a flat pick if you have one and just put it in, and you should be able to put it in and get stuck. There we go. So I can feel the skirt. If I go on this side, this is just flat. Yep. So we are good. To assemble it, we need to make sure we have the butterfly valve in the proper direction. This is directional, okay? Now, the purpose of the butterfly valve is to open and close these outer holes up here, right? But we can't do it in both directions. It can only be done in one direction. So if we look at the butterfly valve plugs into this little part over here. Basically, there's a small nipple, nipples, and a large nipple, right? And if you look, there's a small hole and a large hole. Now, when we put the butterfly valve on that part, if you notice right now, for instance, I am offset, okay? I am not sitting centered. The middle of this part isn't in the middle of the butterfly valve. But if I spin it upside down or turn it upside down, and then put the large hole with the large hole and the small one with the small one, boom, I am in the middle. So that tells me this side faces the compression piston, okay? So the way this is gonna work now, we're gonna take our tool, our low speed compression, we're gonna put the wave valve in there. This is directional into the high speed compression, right? There's a large lobe and a small lobe. Make sure the large lobe goes to the large lobe. It'll fit right in there, just like that, okay? Now, what we're going to do is take this whole mechanism, we're going to put it in. It'll be a little bit tricky, just balance it on your finger, put it in the middle, and pop it all the way to the top, just like that. So now we said this is the top that goes over here. At least I hope so. So, I'm going to turn this around. And actually that looks right already. There we go. We are centered. Okay, now what we want to do, inside there is a groove on the side, right? Like a slot. Let's take that large nipple and bring it relatively close to the slot. Use your high-speed compression on the bottom and just turn it just like that until we get close to it. Not on it, but let's say if it's at 12, if the slot's at 12 o'clock, put the large pin or the large nipple at 1 o'clock, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this ball on the compression piston. We're going to insert it into that slot. So that slot is our guide. Now don't force this in there, okay? We want to just let it pop in there and it'll go in on its own. Just fiddle it a little bit. If you need help, grab a needle nose plier. Do not force it in. Once it gets into its slot, it'll just drop right in just like that with no pressure. Okay? And that's pretty much it for now. Now we could test it. We should be able to turn. Yep. Our high-speed compression works. Now let's work on the shim stack. As for the shim stack, you don't have to take it all apart. You could just like spread it out on your zip tie or your tie wrap and take a look at it, make sure everything's in good shape. But I'm going to take them apart and wipe them so I can get the old 5-weight oil off, right? So starting with the compression piston, right? I'm just going to put them here. Just be careful when you do this. They stick like glue sometimes, right? It's 3 spacers. Now it's the same shim stack for 2020, 2021, I believe 2022 as well. Maybe even 2023, I'm not sure. Okay, that's the 0.9, I believe that's the 0.8, that's the 0.7, I believe that's the 0.6, yes. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is take these guys, clean them, just give them a good rub. Okay, then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna put it back in here. And that's what we're going to do one by one. So this is a 0.6 outer diameter by a 0.006, I believe, thickness. Okay, and this one's the same. This is a 0.7 outer diameter and a 0.006 thickness. These are 12 millimeter spacers. So 12 millimeter spacer outer diameters. All right. 3 of these. Okay, great, let's go in here. Oh, there we go. Again, should be 12 millimeter. Now this is a 0.9 by 1/4 inch. So 0.9 inch by 1/4 inch. This is a 0.8 inch by, I believe, 1/4 inch. I'll write them down. This is a 0.7 again by, I believe, 1/4 inch. Could be wrong. And this is a 0.6. I don't remember the thickness. And that is it. This shim stack is assembled. I'm going to take this and put this on the side because what I'm going to do, considering this is a push-to lock now, or he has a push-to lock remote, I'm going to assemble and install this new push-to-lock top cap using the exact same process we just went through. So next we're going to grab our mid-tube, we're going to put it in, and we're going to screw it down, but only a little bit. Just don't be very careful over here. These are fine threads. Don't strip it. It'll snap in. There we go. Now just screw it down a bit. Leave this part exposed because we're going to need to put in our bladder. Now the thin part goes to the top over here, right? Just force that guy in there just like that. And now we want to take this collar and put it on the inside there. That's why we don't want them all the way down. Okay, yeah, come on. All the way down to the bottom, there we go, right? So we're going to take it and pop it in like that. Now we're going to screw it down all the way by hand and we will torque it later all one shot. To torque it, once again, let's clean the shaft, put it in the soft jaw, grab our torque wrench at 6.2 Newton meters, 26 millimeter chamferless. This is going to torque everything, the whole stack. If I get it in there, just make sure it's not spinning. It's going to be deceiving. Actually, it might be spinning now. Let's go a little bit tighter. There we go. Yeah, exactly. The whole thing's going to want to torque down, so all the different parts are going to torque down at different rates, right? So just make sure you're not spinning at the bottom. That's the most important thing. I'm nearly there. There we go, 6.27. That torqued all connections. Finish up the bladder. We're going to take our collar, bring it all the way up. Just like that. Then we need to sit the collar on a hole. Not tight, it just needs to sit. So for instance, in this case, this 1-inch hole over here works out perfectly, right? We want it to move up and down. We don't want to clamp it. We just want to be able to move it down and stretch the bladder a little bit. So what we're going to do here is, first we're going to take our washer, sink that in, right? Then we're going to pull down the whole stack, stretch the bladder, and that washer will sink in. Then, again, there's a flat side and a raised side. We're going to take the flat side, we're going to sink it in, and then just walk this whole thing around until it all snaps in, just like that. Did it snap in? Yes, it did. So we are good. Check this out. It's a little bit crooked, but we can fix that easily. There we go. Our compression stack is done. Now let's finish up the rebound. For the rebound, the first thing we're going to do is take out the detent screw, ball, and spring. Be careful over here, right? So grab a 2mm Allen, remove it slowly. Okay. There we go. Now inside it, if you tap it down, there it is. So keep these three together on the side. Do not lose them. Next, what we're going to do is remove the O-ring, because again, we'll probably need heat to remove this base nut. Probably, maybe not. We'll find out. Just leave that on the side so we don't forget it, all right? Then we're going to clean the shaft. And we're going to put it into an 8mm hole. Again, don't put it too close to the top. Give it about 1.5 inches. Okay, nice and tight. Then let's try first with 12mm. Whole thing's turning. Okay. Take heat. And there we go. That did it for sure. All right, now let's take this out of here so you guys can see it better. Okay, so, well, that's pretty much the whole thing. Our base nut inside, yep, there's a shaft in here. But we shouldn't have to really worry about this shaft, right? There's nothing to change in the base, so we could leave that there, and our seal head. That's our rebound stack. Basically, we just have to go in here and change a couple of seals. First things first, let's remove this seal on top, or at least on the inside. Yeah. Get underneath it. Great. There we go. Let's leave it with this one here since they're part of the same base nut. Now I'm going to clean off all that old Loctite. Clean most of the Loctite off. Now we have a seal on the inside of the base over here, I believe. I'm pretty sure, actually. Let's remove the rebound knob. And there it is. If you look on the inside, there's a small seal in there. So we could replace that one. Push it out. And then scoop it out. Boom. Okay. I'll just clean this whole thing quick. A little bit of alcohol. On the inside over here. Okay. Let's go ahead and start changing our seals. So, well, you saw that I had my seal kit opened up. I'm just going to find a replacement, out with the old, in with the new. So let's change this one first. Let's put a little bit of grease on it. Right, goes on this side over here. This one's going to be most likely somewhat tricky. Sink it in. The seat is right at the top over here, so we need to sink this in. Okay, let's do it the traditional way. Sink that like that. Sink that into its seat just like that. Then, can do, so I love these little skewers. Take it slowly, and there we go. It is in its seat all the way around. Yay! This is the bottom part. Make sure the rounded part, the flat part basically, or the dialed part, goes from the fine threads to the thick threads like that in, and then screw it all the way in. Okay, just like that. And if you look inside, you can see the detents right there. All right. Now, let's replace these two. That's got to be this one here, without a doubt. Out with the old, in with the new. This one here is, well, that's for sure this one right next to it. Sorry, you can't see that, folks, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Some grease on this. Over this side over here. Oh. There we go. One. Put a little bit of grease on this. Put it on this side at the base after this hump. That takes care of that. Now, put the new seal head in. Let's take out the shaft from the inside again for now, right? So this line over here goes on top, right? So this is the old shaft. This is the new one. The threads face this part here, or the head over here, right? Now, we don't want to just put a little bit of grease. Okay, you don't want to take the chance and put it straight in like that, because again, there's a quad seal in there and you could tear it, this very sharp edge. They make a bullet tool again, right? Put a little bit of grease on a bullet tool. Again, threads go down. Bullet tool makes this much, much safer. You can buy these aftermarket for pretty low price. So again, the line goes on top. Sink that one down. There we go, all the way to the end. Pop them down. Now, let's go in there and clean the threads, just in case we have some grease on them. Now let's clean these threads here to make sure there's no grease on them. Before we assemble, we're going to do one thing actually. Hopefully it's not too late. Let's take out the rebound shaft again. Let's put a little bit of grease. The detent ball is just over here. Now we can put it back in again. Screw it all back down. Oops, don't trap your glove in there. Screw it back down. Again, make sure the threads are free of grease. And use regular grease, not tram butter. Clean the shaft here. Put an 8mm. Again, don't put it all the way down. Leave some room above. About an inch, inch and a half. 8mm soft jaw hole. Okay. Then again, we need our red Loctite. Put a little bit of red Loctite on top of the shaft, or on top of the sink it into the threads. Blow it in if you have to. Then we are going to sink this in. Try not to touch the sides with the Loctite. Let's get in by hand first. Okay, all the way down. make sure we're all the way down. Yep. Then 12 millimeters crow's foot at 3.4 Newton meters. Got to go tighter. Okay. Try that again. Yep. There we go. Now we have one last part to change, which is the glide ring. Take out the old red glide ring. Find the edge, stretch it out. Come on. Stop spinning, just stretch it. Look at that. Okay, no, not downwards, upwards. And in frame. People are watching. So, that's the old one. Grab one of these new ones. The new ones are always going to be bigger. We're going to fit that in. It's always going to want to flop out. It's going to size itself when we put it back into the tube. First we grab our ball, put it in the hole. Make sure it doesn't fall out. Then we grab the spring, put that in the hole. Make sure that goes in correctly. Then put the screw on your 2 millimeter Allen. And just put a really small dab, which is going to be really hard with this head. See what I mean? Just a small dab, a nice fresh dab right there, even though it has some left over. Then we screw it in, and we're not going to screw it in all the way. We're only going to screw it in until it's basically flush, just like that. Do not need to go anymore. Wipe off any excess Loctite. And now we are ready to assemble the damper. We have one more seal we need to change, and that's going to be the seal to our bleed plug, right? So this is going to be probably a pain in the butt, as it always is. Let's find out. No, not too bad. We got it this time. I believe so. Maybe I'm lying. No. No. There we go. Oop. No, no. Come on, you're coming out. There we go. Okay, so that's the old one. Okay. Actually, oh, close one. Little dab of grease on it. And it's going to be relatively stiff, so I'm going to use the table. Yeah. A little bit more. There we go. Yay, we managed it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take it, we're going to put it back in. Why are we going to put it in? Because what we're going to do is take our 4-weight oil and we're going to fill it up to about here. Don't overfill it. We just want to make it about 3/4 of the way up the tube. Not to the top of the tube yet. In fact, that's too high. But what we're going to do now is squeeze the bladder. You can see air coming up. We're going to try and displace as much air as we can now by squeezing the bladder. And you'll notice the oil is going to go lower and lower and lower. All right, so squeeze as much as you can now because it's only going to make bleeding a little bit easier later, right? So I won't record the whole thing, but I'm just going to keep on squeezing, massaging the bladder until no air bubbles come up that I could see. I'll be back. Before we bleed it, we need to make sure that all dials are in the fully open position, right? So grab the rebound, put it in, turn it counterclockwise. We are all the way at the end. That is in a fully open position. Then for the high-speed compression, if you can't do it by hand, you should be able to do it by hand, but let's say you can't, grab an 8 millimeter wrench and just turn it fully counterclockwise, just like that, fully open position. And then we grab our low-speed rebound, and let's turn this counterclockwise all the way to the fully open position. And there we go. Don't force it at the end. Once it gets snug at the end, you just leave it like that, and we are at the fully open position. Then what we're going to do is we are going to take our damper and put it in that soft jaw. Now we need to pop off. Can I do it by hand? Nope, I can't do it by hand. Grab a plier and pick it up. Let's leave this on the side. Make sure you have your ball and spring and clip handy over there, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our Mixmizer. We're going to install it halfway on and halfway into the syringe, right? Spin this around. Now, when it comes to filling this up, we do not need to fill it up a lot. Just put around 8 milliliters, really. We do not need a lot. And reality is, the more time you spent removing air prior to closing up the damper, well, the better this is going to be. The less you're going to need, at least, oil over here, right? So just put a little bit for now. All right, just about like that much. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we're going to start off with it fully extended. We're just going to press it, and you're going to see bubbles coming out. Let me refocus the camera. Right? And again, we're just going to start pressing, squeezing on the bladder. Make sure all the bubbles make it to the top before you let go, because if you let go, they'll go right back in, right? So we are going to squeeze, start off. Make sure all the bubbles, be patient over here. Let all the bubbles go to the top. If they get stuck in the middle, just pulse the bladder and it will push them upwards. Let the bladder fill up and then repeat. Okay. Repeat again. Until we see no bubbles. Patience is key over here. Let all the bubbles go to the top. All right, I'm not really seeing all that many bubbles. So now what we're going to do, we're going to slowly lift up. In fact, first, lift the damper shaft up and down to get any air from underneath it, above it. Okay, and then extend it all the way down again. And now, see, we got more bubbles now. Always make sure they make it to the top before letting go. If they get stuck just like that one there, pulse it, and there it goes. Let the bladder fill up. Okay. I don't see any more bubbles again. Now we're going to bring the shaft all the way to the top slowly. It's going to bring bubbles with it. Now let's squeeze again. See what I mean? Look at all the bubbles coming out now. Oop, there's a few big ones. Remember all those ports? We have to get from the bottom and the top. We have to get all those ports filled with oil. That's a lot of little bubbles in there. Keep squeezing until you don't see bubbles. A couple of small ones. Let's pulse them up. And there they go. Let it fill up again. Massage it so it can fill up. Squeeze again. There's a few more small ones. Squeeze again. There's a couple of big ones. Again, letting it rest for a few seconds allows the air to concentrate and create bigger bubbles. Well, lets the air rise. You're there. I know you're there. There we go. Got that one. Let it fill up. Let it rest a little bit. Squeeze it. There's a couple of other big ones. Okay, now let's pull down our shaft slowly again. Let it fill up. Where are bubbles coming out? Pick the shaft up. And we're going to repeat this until you get to a point where you've moved the shaft up and down 10 times without seeing a bubble. If you see a bubble, you start that count from 10 again. The more time you spend over here, the better off you are. Patience is key. It is worth every extra minute it takes, okay? This should not take all that long. The first step, when it was dismantled, when we filled it up, the more time you spent over there will require less time over here, okay? So that's how this one works. We're going to squeeze until we don't see bubbles. Okay, if we don't see bubbles with the shaft down, we're going to bring the shaft up, let it fill up. We're going to squeeze again until we don't see bubbles. See, already I'm starting to see no bubbles, but that doesn't mean there's not a bubble in there. That's why we repeat this. Don't be fooled. Don't be impatient. Okay, so I'm going to bring it back down again. Let it fill up. Squeeze, see, there's a bubble. We want every bubble out. And also, you will hear bubbles going through the system. Like right now, if you hear that, that's a bubble going through the system, right? So we gotta get that thing out of there. So let me bring it up. There, 2 bubbles just came out there. There's a little small one. Let me pulse it up. Emma. This one stuck at the bottom. Give it 2 seconds. Now let me try and squeeze it up again. Oh, there it is. Boom, got it. All right. Oh, there's a couple of more. Again, give it time. This just requires patience, folks, okay? So again, to repeat it, because I'm not going to record the whole thing, ultimately, we bring the shaft down, let it rest, squeeze it, see if any bubbles come out. If no bubbles come out, bring it back up again, let it rest 2 seconds, squeeze it, see if any bubbles come out. If no bubbles come out, we bring it down again, let it rest, squeeze it, see if any bubbles come out. If no bubbles come out, we bring it back up, and we're going to repeat that 10 times until you see no bubbles. If you see a bubble, you start that count again from 1. All right? It shouldn't take all that long. So I'll be back when I'm done. So I went up and down 10 times, pressed on that bladder. I have not seen an air bubble. I am more than confident that there is no air in this system. I don't hear anything. Again, folks, the more time you invest here, the better off you are. So patience is key. So now we need to make sure that the shaft is all the way down. So pull it all the way down. Next, we're going to lift the syringe and we're going to try and fill up this cap with oil. And the remainder of the oil we'll just put back in the bottle, all right? So what we're going to do is pick up the syringe. We'll let it empty out into the cap, to the top, just like that. And let the rest of the oil drain into the bottle. Now do yourself a favor for now. Just make sure you cover this. Okay, so now what we want to do, grab a little bit of regular waterproof grease, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to fill up the port for the spring and the ball. Then what we're going to do, first we're going to grab our spring. So let's put them both down. There's the spring. We're going to take the spring, we're going to put it in the hole. Right? Take a little bit more grease on top of the spring. Don't overdo it, but enough for the ball to stick on. Let's grab the ball from the magnet. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we're going to sink it in there, but we need to press on the ball, okay? We need to make sure the ball goes in. It's going to want to come out. So we're going to put it in. We're going to press on the ball. Oops, see what I mean? It's going to want to come out. Oop, come on. No. There we go. Wrong. Do it again. Come on. Look at this thing. Okay. Got the ball. Let's put a little bit of, again, grease on the spring so the ball sticks to it. Put the ball on the spring. Make sure it goes in. Okay, now again, we're going to put it in. We're going to squeeze on the ball. And then, see, it's in now. Now we just want to make sure it sinks in. You might have to twist it for it to sink in. Yeah. It'll snap in. Basically, it has to. Doesn't help that the whole thing spins. Yeah. Sometimes it goes in right away. Basically, it has to snap into the low-speed compression dial on the inside. See if this will help. Actually, what you can do, grab your low-speed compression. And like I said, just turn a little bit. There we go. And it just snapped in. All right, so now we are in. Now what we can do, remove it, take the extra oil, put it in your bottle, pour it in there. All right. Now we are going to take our snap ring. Okay, put the back in first. Tuck in one side. Tuck in one side. Might need a pick for this. In fact, let me get my pick. Okay, we tucked in one side, and now we're going to try and tuck in the other side. There we go. And we are in. There's the clicks on our low-speed compression. Yay! Now what we want to do, clean the remaining oil from in here, because this remote attracts a lot of oil, dirt. And if we have oil in here, it's just going to fill up with dirt. And next, we will test it. To test it, it's easy enough. What we're going to do is start off, everything's in the fully open position. It should move up and down freely, and it is silent. Completely silent. Beautiful. So now what we're going to do, I'll grab my 8mm, put high-speed lockout, and this should be solid. It's not moving anywhere. That's good. And we got our low-speed compression. Let me open up my lockout. Let's lock fully counterclockwise. Quite a few clicks here, actually. And remember, never force it. Once you get to the end and you don't hear a click, just stop. Do not go beyond that. Oops, let me make sure that the high-speed compression didn't turn. Yep, it turned. So there we go. A lot more pressure is needed, just as it should be. With it open, there's no pressure needed, or very minimal pressure at least. Let me put it to the fully open. Next, let's test the rebound, which I'm sure will work. So again, don't overturn it, right? Or else you'll jam them. So now the rebound, we know it works perfectly like that. Grab your rebound knob, turn it fully counterclockwise until the end. Don't force it again, go up. And now there should be a lot of pressure. Yep, we are good. We are real good. Fully open. Look at the difference. This thing is working perfectly. Before we put it back in, we have one more seal we need to change. Right here, where the top cap is. Take it, bring it out, grab paper towel, clean the seat, clean the threads. All right. Now, let's find its replacement. This one here. Make sure you fit it in its seat. I should have put a little grease on this actually. Okay, now let's put it in. And seat all the way around. Push this aside. Take the damper. Turn by hand. Always grab the threads by hand first. Good. Yep, we are good. Take our ratchet. All the way down. And then ratchet, torque wrench, 24 Newton meters. Oops. All right. 24.9, which is funny because I think it's 24.8 technically. Before we put the remote in, we have the option to open it up and clean it. Now this one's actually running in really good condition from what it feels like, right? The bearing feels real smooth. Nothing seems wrong. There is corrosion over here. This is normal. Reality is, in my opinion, these are flawed, these remotes, but oh well, it is what it is. So if there's nothing wrong with yours and it moves, we could go on to the next step and insert it into the fork. But let's say yours isn't running smooth or it doesn't have enough tension, for instance, right? Then chances are it's the bearing on the inside that's corroding, because the way this is designed, and this is why it's a flaw, water collects in here. And basically that just goes straight into the bearing underneath it. So not exactly a great thing, right? So we need to separate the top from the plastic cap. But before we do that, we need to look at the pin that the spring is sticking out of, right? At least the hole. And what we're going to do is mark right underneath that hole so we can know where that pin sticks out of. Now to separate it, we're going to need a flathead screwdriver, preferably one a little bit thicker than this one, but it should do, right? And what we're going to do is use this as leverage. Be careful you don't crack anything over here, and be careful you don't put too much pressure on the aluminum, because this can split, right? Or at least it will dent, right? So we're going to just slowly go underneath, put pressure, and go all the way around. Give it even pressure until it pops off. Sometimes it comes out quicker than other times. Right? So just don't put too much pressure. Just take your time over here and it will come out. I could feel it inching out, so you could see it inching out. That's the bearing underneath right there, right? So again, that's the flaw with this whole design, that bearing. Well, at least it's greased. That bearing is very exposed, so it rusts easy. So I cleaned up all the parts on the remote. Now we have a few options. At a minimum, what I would do is try and get like a thin piece of string or even some dental floss and try and clean in between the bearing and the actual remote itself, in between here, because again, this is a relatively weak spring. It doesn't take that much to slow this spring down from bouncing back, right? So any kind of friction, well, that'll impact the spring. Now, what you could also do is open up the seal, basically just take a small pick, go underneath, lift it up, and then you're gonna clean the inside, right, with brake cleaner or something, right, to get all the grease out there. But I wouldn't fill it up with grease. What I would put is a very thin oil in order to keep the bearing smooth as possible and have the least friction as possible, because again, this is a relatively weak spring. And we're going to increase the tension on that spring. I'll get into that. Or, in my opinion, the best of all options is just go buy a new bearing. Okay, you can buy these things. These are about $1.50 each. You can buy them in packs of 5, 10, so on and so forth. 6702 RS bearings, or 2RS double shield. So again, 6702, these are really popular bearings. Always have them handy. They come in really handy, okay? And like I said, you can buy them. I'm not kidding when I say they're about $2 a piece, not even. So if we want to do that, what you're going to need is a soft jaw that's about 2021 millimeters in diameter, enough to fit the bearing, okay? And what we're going to do is, let's hold this up a bit. We're going to put the bearing in there, okay, and just clamp down on it, not overly tight. And then just grab like a 10 millimeter socket and just lightly, you don't even need to do it heavily, tap out. There you go. That should be out, actually. Done. All right, well, I had taken out the seal. I didn't put it back in, right? And it's that easy. And then what we could do is, oops, clean the base here. All right. And now when it comes to putting a new bearing in, just use a flat jaw. Make sure it all fits in between. So about there. Okay, so make sure this thing's sitting relatively straight. Now we don't want to bring it all the way to the end. Leave about a millimeter before the end. So let's start it off like this. All right, so now we know it's even. And then we're just going to grab a larger, let's say, what is this, a 17? Yeah, give or take, just a little bit larger. Okay, that'll sink in where the inside will go inside the bearing. Doesn't take much pressure at all over here. We're not going to damage anything. So I'm going to grab that. We're going to put on the soft jaw. Now we're just going to sink it in. Again, leave about a millimeter. Let's say right about there. And we are good to go. The reason you leave some space is, well, so you don't get friction with the metal rubbing on this metal, right? And that's it. To install the remote, we need to know which remote we have. So we have two options, push to lock, push to unlock. Push to lock, the cable's going to be on the left side when facing the 12 o'clock position. A push to unlock, it's going to be on the right side. Now we have tools. Fox makes tools to properly install the dial. Okay, there's two top caps to this tool. One of them says P-L, that's push to lock. The other one says nothing, that's push to unlock. Since this is a push to lock, we would use this tool. Very easy tool to use, basically. What you would do is align this notch with the cable housing, put this in, align this notch with the cable housing, and then you would turn this 360 degrees, just like that. The spring is activated. And then you would align the inside base with the high-speed compression, and you would sink the whole unit in one shot, and everything is set to go, right? Is it sunk in? Nope, there we go. Now we're sunk in. Then we could pull out the tool. Just don't pull out the, well, I pulled out the dial with it, but I wanted to show you guys something anyway. So at the end of it all, we could use the tool, but you don't need the tool to do this. You don't have to buy this tool. If we're turning the dial clockwise for a push to lock and counterclockwise for a push to unlock to activate the spring, that means we could turn the base counterclockwise for a push to lock and clockwise for a push to unlock, as opposed to turning the dial. So the way we would do that, first we would put in the dial at the, let's say 12-ish position, wherever it fits in base. Oh, first we need to make absolutely sure that we are in the fully open position for a push to lock and a fully closed position for a push to unlock. We're in a fully open position. This is a push to lock. Let's put in the dial now. Let's sink this guy down. He's sunk in there. Then we're going to take our low speed compression cap with the screw, and we're only going to thread it in a few threads. Enough where why is it not grabbing? There we go. It did grab. I'm crazy. In fact, I went too deep. Take it out a little bit, enough where we could turn just a little bit more the base. There we go. So now, since this is a push to lock, I'm going to turn the base counterclockwise, just like that. Boom. Sink it down. Now we tighten our screw. Don't over tighten it. Again, this is a low speed compression. We want to be able to turn it. There we go. There's our clicks. So, and now we are activated, and you could test that. We should be in the open position, and boom, closed. Our remote is installed perfectly, and I have lots of tension on it. Awesome. Part 2 of the 50-hour service. So I took out the seals from the seal kit. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the springs from the wipers. Okay. Then we're going to prep our wipers. Take a little bit of grease, put it on the outside. Just like that. Don't put too much, just coat it. Just like that. Now, we had our foam rings soaking. We're going to take a foam ring. All right, we're going to put it in its seat. Make sure it's sitting flat, just like that. Then we're going to take a wiper. We're going to put it on our wiper installation tool. Again, 32 millimeters in this case. See if we can sink it by hand. Nope. Grab a mallet. And there we go. Nice and flat. One down. Let's go in here. Let's grab the second foam ring. Put it in. Grab our wiper. Put it on the tool. Again, the spring part up, flat part down. That is in perfectly, nice and flush. Awesome. Now we're going to grab grease. Now, for other people, I try and fill up the concave portion of the wiper, so I'm very generous when it comes to grease in the wipers for the lowers, because I have no idea when they're going to do their 50-hour services. Chances are they're going to do them in about 1,000 hours. Okay, so that takes care of that. Here's our best chance to clean any grease off the back. Come on, look at this. Come on. Hey, let go. There we go. Off the wiper and off the back of the wiper in here, right? So let's clean this area because dirt will collect in there real quick. And we always want to make our wipers' jobs easier as opposed to harder. Okay. So now we have our old sag ring. Throw that on the side to put in our new sag ring. Okay, then we're going to put in our metal rings. 1 and 2. Make sure everything's down. Let's push this aside. Now, crown facing down, serial number facing up. Slide them in. Let's get one side in first. Then we get the other side in. There we go. And bring them down. Now we fill them up with oil. Let's separate it, since we need to see, like right now on this side, the well, on both sides, the shafts on the inside are sticking out. So we need to separate. Oops, that's not what I wanted. There's not a lot of room on these. These are real short. It's 100 millimeters. So there we go. Just put it in a little bit. There we go. Now I have space. We need to make sure we put the right amount of oil on each side. So this is a 2020 Fox 32 Stepcast. That's key over here, with the FIT4 damper and a 100 millimeter air spring. So if we look at this chart over there, you will see that for the air side, we need 8 cc's or 8 milliliters of 20 weight oil. And on the damper side, we need 15 cc's or milliliters of 20 weight gold oil, right? So I've already filled up this syringe. We're going to start off with the damper side. I put 15 cc's in there. Now this is deep in there. We need to make sure we put it in the hole. Having a hose will help out because, again, although having a curved hose doesn't help. Add in there. So dark in there I can barely see. There we go. Now I'm in, and we inject the whole thing. That is one side. And now I'm just going to fill it up with 8 cc's. There we go. And I'm going to do the other side. Before we close it up, let's prep our nuts. I have the 2 new crush washers. This crush washer fell out when we separated it, right? So let's just clean the seat. We want to make sure that the seats are clean. We want a super clean surface between the crush washer and the nut and fork leg, right? Very important. So this one's clean. Let's take the crush washer, put it in, set it on the side. This one, the crush washer's still in here. I'm going to take a pick. This could be stiff sometimes. Oop, this one came out relatively easy. Again, we want to make sure the seat is clean. Very important, the seat is clean. And if you could reach inside, try and clean the base where the crush washer sits. So I got all the oil inside. This one I could touch it. Yeah, there's no oil. I got the oil. That's the nice thing with the tubes. You could actually put it inside. So now that one. Now we are going to close it up, sink it all the way down. Make sure you can see both shafts. Yes, I can. So then we're going to take crush washer 1, put in our 10 millimeter. Let's start off with our damper side. Screw it in by hand first. Okay, we know that one's in. Now the more difficult one. This one is always going to be a little bit tougher because it's deep and hard to get to, and the socket isn't a perfect fit. There we go. Do by hand, because this one's going to want to naturally go and crook it because of the socket. I think I have it. Yes, I do. Good. Grab our ratchet. Grab our torque wrench. Put this on the side. Now, Fox says 5.7. I do 6. You can do 5.7 if you want. All right. And there we go. That's one. And now for this one over here, which is always a pain in the butt. There we go. Cool. 6.03. Perfect. Next, let's put in our rebound knob. Now, having a magnetic bit, 2 millimeter Allen really helps over here, right? We want to go all the way down until it comes out. Well, it's not going to fully come out, but ultimately you will see it just like that. And now, this is really only one way it could fit in, and I got it. There we go. Hold on to it, and we want to screw it down by hand. There we go. Okay, finger tight. Good finger tight. Let's test it. Yep, there we go. Click, 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 click. Cool. Next, let's make sure our wipers are clean. No grease on them, like this one had a little bit of grease. Already cleaned the back. Clean it again just in case something got on there. All right, then we want to put in our springs. Take a pick. Be careful if you're using a metal pick. That's one, and repeat. Next, take some alcohol, spray it down, grab a paper towel, and remove all the old, well, any exposed or grease and oil. Make sure we grab it all from everywhere. And ta-da! And there you have it, folks. You just finished fully servicing your Fox Factory Series Float 32 Stepcast with a FIT4 damper and remote. Very easy job. Again, this is a popular fork. Many of you have it. There's no reason why you shouldn't be staying on top of servicing it. At a minimum, do your 50-hour service. Most important service for forks and shocks is a 50-hour service, in my opinion. The air spring's simple enough. The damper on this is simple enough, and you could really simplify it by not touching the compression stack. There's no O-rings in there for this version. Just change the seal head and the glide ring on your rebound, and you're good to go. I would even avoid changing the seal on the bleed plug. I'd keep it as an extra just in case you do burst a bleed plug down the road. So all that's left now is put the settings back to where they were before, take the fork, put it on the bike, and then go out there and race the hell out of it. Just make sure to clean the wipers. There will be excess grease coming out of it after your first few rides because a lot of dirt will collect, making the wipers job harder than it needs to be, all right? So, folks, if you like this video, click that like button, click that subscribe button to see more videos, click that bell button, bing, 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 in order to get notified when new videos get released, and more videos like this are coming. If you want to check out a couple of videos right now, these two over there might be of interest. And until the next time, I hope all's well with all of you, and we will be talking to you soon. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.